Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pedro, and you're now tuned into the Alpha Success Network. And over the next few minutes, I want to continue the conversation that we began in our last video, in which we explored the subject of physical trauma. In today's conversation, I'm going to explore with you the subject of emotional trauma. And in the next video, we're going to talk about spiritual trauma. So, at this point in time, I want to begin the conversation by sharing with you that some of the biggest challenges that you face in your life, some of the biggest obstacles, the biggest barriers that you are experiencing in your life come about because of you holding yourself back unconsciously. What do you mean by holding yourself back unconsciously? Well, let's pick any specific goal that you want to achieve. It could be a financial goal, it could be a business goal, it could be a relationship goal, right? It could be a goal to become a better public speaker. When you actually begin your journey towards going to achieve that goal, you're going to discover that there are going to be some obstacles that are going to be in front of you. Whether you go through those obstacles or choose to give up is directly related to the type of self-talk that you have with yourself. Entry the subject of emotional trauma. I want you to go back to your childhood and think about the messages that you received from your primary guardians or the people that were around you. So if somebody told you that you are going to amount to nothing, you are always going to be a failure, you are a loser, you are dumb, you are stupid, you are fat, those messages that are disempowering that you had when you were growing up as a child get planted into your subconscious mind. They get planted into your subconscious mind. And this happens when you are young, when you haven't developed the ability to discriminate between truth and false. All of the statements, majority of them are false. But when you're young, you take them and believe them to be true. And then this is what happens, ladies and gentlemen. You grow up and become an adult. And you go out into the world and try to go after a certain goal. You get involved in business, and the business requires you to make certain sales to grow the business. But the moment you experience rejection, you begin to look at yourself as if you are not worthy, as if you are going to amount to nothing. Pretty much the messages that you had when you're growing up as a kid. Maybe you want to go and talk to a beautiful woman, right? You want to approach someone, and you remember being told that you are worthless when you're young. That plays out in your mind when you try to approach other people, or maybe trying to speak in public. You have a very, very strong fear of public speaking because maybe you were told that you are not worthy of success in anything that you do. So these messages that you get when you are young, they get planted into your energy body. You develop some form of emotional trauma. And this emotional trauma, ladies and gentlemen, holds you back from living your ideal life today. So the first step towards liberating yourself, the first step towards going for your dreams definitely involves your ability to mitigate the impact of the emotional trauma that you experienced when you were young. So in this video, I'm going to share with you two very important things that I believe you must do in order to transcend emotional trauma and begin to go towards your goals with power, poise, peace, and confidence. The first thing that you want to do is begin to heal the emotional traumas that you have experienced in your lives. You want to heal the emotional trauma that you've experienced. Now, how do you heal this emotional trauma? Most of the time, this emotional trauma is unconscious. You do not know, you do not remember the origin of the trauma. And when you go out in your day-to-day activities, you just find yourself overwhelmed with fear and anxiety towards certain activities. The best way to begin to heal your emotional trauma is to get help from a third party who is objective, who can listen to you and point out the areas where you're holding yourself back. Someone like a coach, a life coach can help you. Someone like a psychologist can help you see the blind spots that exist due to the emotional trauma that you experienced when you were younger. This is very, very difficult work, my dear friends, and it's very, very difficult to determine how you are actually sabotaging yourself. But if you have an objective party that you share information with and they point out to you how you're holding yourself back, then you will gain a higher level of awareness, a high level of consciousness, a high level of clarity around the areas where you're holding yourself back. Majority of the time, people are very, very stubborn. They believe that they can do it by themselves, but I have discovered that one of the best things that you can do for yourself is to trust other people to help you grow. So get a coach, get a psychiatrist, go to a psychologist, and begin to understand what that emotional trauma has done to you. So that's the first thing that I want you to do. The second thing that I want you to do, my dear friends, is very, very important also, right? The first thing was to begin to heal the emotional trauma. However, I don't want you to hide behind the emotional trauma. A lot of people begin to go through the healing process, but they hide from the public. They say they're going to work on themselves first before they go for their dreams. I'm encouraging you to take a different proactive approach. The approach is to begin to take actions towards your goals, regardless of the amount of anxiety and fear that you will experience, because it is through the process of going for your goals that you'll continue to gain a high level of awareness around the areas where you're holding yourself back. And as you take action, you will begin to develop the momentum, the mental momentum required for you to erase the tapes that are playing in your mind. Erase the negative self-talk that are playing themselves out in your mind, because you're taking action towards your goals. So on the one hand, in the background, you're healing yourself, you're going through personal growth and development, you're getting third-party objective view from maybe a coach or a psychiatrist or a psychologist, anyone that can help you, a mentor. You're getting information that's helping you heal, but immediately you're transferring the new power that you have gained from your healing process into action in the external world, going for that sale, going to build that business, going to speak in public, going to approach the person of your dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, it is possible to overcome and transcend any form of emotional trauma that you have experienced. So to summarize our conversation, emotional trauma occurs when you receive negative messages when you are younger. These negative messages plant themselves in your subconscious mind, plant themselves in your energy body, and when you go out into the world on a day-to-day basis trying to achieve your goals and you experience any barriers, these messages come back to life and you feel a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear around the activity that you're doing at that point in time. The answer to this is to begin to heal yourself, through personal growth and development, through coaching and psychologists or psychiatrists, but at the same time to begin to take proactive action towards the realization of your dreams. Have yourselves an amazing day, my dear friends. Stay tuned. The next video, we're going to talk about a very, very important aspect of trauma, and that's going to be spiritual trauma. And I encourage you to stay tuned for that video, because once you overcome spiritual trauma, this emotional trauma that we've talked about here and the physical trauma that we talked about in the previous video can be completely eliminated. Take care, my dear friends. Take care.